Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian lad, and I have watched Zack Snyder's Justice League at 0.25x speed, which took me well over 4 days, so I had to make this one count. And guess what? I have found 25 new details from the film, some of which will literally blow your mind and make you appreciate the Snyder Cut even more. But before I begin, please give me 51 seconds to thank today's sponsor, the Commuter 2 from Cove. Now this speaker is so unique and has some hidden features you wouldn't even expect. I like to use it when I'm editing a video or if I just want to break from my headphones. But here's the fun part. I can also split the speaker in half and experience more of a stereo sound. It's like getting 2 speakers for the price of 1. This little speaker puts out some great sound while also being water resistant and delivering 7 hours of playback on a single charge. Another feature I really like about this is that it has a built-in microphone, so you could take hands-free phone calls from it with ease. And with the code CL67, you can save 67% off of your very own Commuter 2, which would make it one of the most affordable unique speakers out there. So click on my link in description to have your very own Commuter 2 speaker. Thanks again to Cove for sponsoring this video. Number 1. When the Flash fights Superman for the first time, the Flash was ready to use this special power against Superman. Let me explain. Look at how Flash raises his hand as Superman prepares to shoot his laser beam. The Flash signaled with the same gesture again at the end, which allowed him to phase through and survive the blast. So this raise of hand is something that activates his phasing ability. And the fact that he made the same gesture when Superman was about to shoot his laser beam goes to show that this hand gesture is Barry getting ready to do whatever is necessary to survive. And yes, I did notice this Ben Parker Easter egg, but at this point, who didn't? So I'm not including it in the list. Number 2. If you have watched the movie, you know that Ares makes a huge blow on Darkseid's right shoulder. He not only managed to make a massive cut on his right shoulder, but he did it through Darkseid's armor. But here's what I noticed, one of my favorite details from the film. Notice after all these years, Darkseid didn't even bother to fix his armor or get a new one altogether. He's still carrying the memory of his only loss. This shows just how pissed he is at what happened. Number 3. When Bruce Wayne brings all of his work friends to the Batcave, Alfred offers to make them some tea, but then says this:
I'll put on the tea. Great. I don't know where we're going to find the cups.
Probably because nobody ever goes there except him and Bruce. But notice when Bruce was talking about his nightmare, in the background we can see some cups. So it seems as though Alfred did manage to find those extra cups. Number 4. Victor sees the funeral of Wonder Woman in his vision. But pay attention to the left side of the screen. Here we can see Darkseid looking down on the funeral. So he's clearly allowing the Amazons to feel the pain of losing one of their best. I think it was probably Darkseid who let the Amazons set up a funeral in the first place. And that's just badass. Also, notice the way Darkseid turns around, comes forward a little and stands there. This is the exact same VFX model of Darkseid that Snyder used later in the climax again, but from a different angle. Number 5. Darkseid's Omega Beam was a satisfaction for all the DC fans, especially seeing it underwater. The Omega Beam even boiled the water right there, but that's not my detail. I'm gonna freeze this frame right here. Now tell me, what do you see? Nothing yet? How about now? Another clever detail, eh? Number 6. In this scene, Victor's father, Silas Stone, was superheating the mother box, making its core the hottest thing on Earth. Silas realized Steppenwolf will get the mother box, so he infused hit signatures to it, which would allow the heroes to locate it before the unity happened. But in the process, he had to sacrifice himself. Now notice, while he was getting vaporized, he started bleeding from the left side of his chest first, meaning his heart. Kudos to the VFX team for such accurate depiction. Number 7. Now this one is possibly my favorite detail that I found in this movie. Exactly 24 minutes and 5 seconds of the film are in slow motion, mostly because that's the best way to showcase Flash's abilities. But it's always nice to see his speed from someone else's perspective, and that's what we got to see in this film. When the Flash was saving the civilians from the falling debris, I actually managed to see what he really does at 0.25x speed. He taps the rocks, flying kicks them, punches them, and stands in the center of the group looking up. But here comes my favorite part. For 3 frames, you can even see him standing on the side, thinking about what to do next. So even though all of this happened in the blink of an eye, Flash is so fast he even got to think about his next move. That's an amazing detail sadly most people don't even notice. Number 8. When Lois Lane visits a coffee shop at the beginning of the film, Zack Snyder appears in the background as well. I know most of you knew this detail already, but I just wanted to include it as a thank you to Zack Snyder. Number 9. Lois Lane has a pregnancy test kit on a drawer, and at the end of the film, Bruce congratulates congratulates Clark as well.
Congratulations, by the way.
Now, Zack Snyder has confirmed that Lois and Clark are indeed having a baby. Zack had planned that their son would be born without any powers and eventually become the new Batman. Number 10. At the end of the film, when Martian Manhunter takes off from Bruce Wayne's house, if you watch this scene at 0.25x speed, you'll notice the Hall of Justice or Wayne Manor is under construction. A very subtle Easter egg. But it's kind of funny that people keep wondering who Batman is, while Bruce Wayne literally lives a mile away from the Hall of Justice. Number 11. When the Flash time travels and reverses the explosion, the body of Superman starts to rematerialize. But notice when the same thing happens for Cyborg, the VFX department made sure to only put Flash on his face and not his body. I know most of you lads have probably noticed it too at regular speed, but it looks so much better in slow motion. We gotta give credits to the VFX team for such attention to detail. Number 12. When Victor gets a vision of the Nightmare timeline, he sees Superman crying with the dead body of Lois Lane on his arm. Then Darkseid enslaves Superman, probably with the anti-life. Now notice in the background we can see Robin's suit that we've previously seen in Batman v Superman. So this confirms this event is taking place in the Batcave, and that's why Superman becomes evil in the Nightmare timeline, because now he blames Batman for the death of Lois Lane. Initially, when there was no hope of getting a Snyder Cut, in a Q&A session, Zack Snyder actually revealed his plans for Justice League 2. Had Zack continued to work on the DC Extended Universe, Justice League 2 would somewhat look like this. Batman convinced the League that they should catch Darkseid by surprise before he invades the Earth again. So Superman entrusts Batman to keep Lois safe with him, so they hide her in the Batcave, but Darkseid finds it out and goes to the Batcave and kills her. This triggers the Nightmare timeline as seen in Victor's vision, and the chaos continues until Flash travels back in time to warn Bruce about what happens. But Flash mistakenly arrives at an earlier point, which we saw in Batman v Superman. But then he travels again to the right moment and tells Bruce to save Lois at any cost. This time Batman sacrifices his life instead of Lois, and the League defeats Darkseid as well. And this is how Justice League 2 and 3 would have panned out. Number 13. Barry acknowledges that using his power causes him to lose an extreme amount of calories which is unsafe. So he has to consume a lot of calories to balance it out, which he calls a snack hole.
Causes me to burn a tremendous amount of calories. I am a snack hole.
Now look at what Alfred prepared for Barry. A huge bowl of Ruffles chips. Number 14. At the end of the film, Lex Luthor offers Deathstroke some drink.
Care for a glass of Gou de Diamant?
Now this champagne is sold in the real world for $1.4 million a bottle. Just a random fact I thought you lads would like to know. Number 15. At the end of the film, during the nightmare sequence, this shot of Superman slowly looking upwards is a reused footage from Batman v Superman, probably to save some money there. Number 16. Batman tells Alfred that Superman will come back. Alfred asks, "What makes you so sure?" Batman replies, "Faith, Alfred, faith."
He'll be here, Alfred, I know it.
What makes you so sure?
Faith, Alfred. Faith.
Now, if you watched Man of Steel, there's a similar scene where a father from a church tells Clark about the leap of faith.
Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith first. The trust part comes later.
So a nice little connection there. And I'm so happy Snyder has doubled down on this, because faith is one of Batman's core characteristics. Number 17. When Barry sneaks into the Star Lab, he shows a fake ID. Now in Joss Whedon's cut, there was a mistake in the date of birth, which would make Barry's fake profile only a 7-year-old kid. But in the Snyder cut, it is fixed. Number 18. Whenever Cyborg sees a vision or when he has to fight one of the mother boxes at the end, he always imagines himself in his human form. But notice, as soon as he comes in terms with this new life that he has, he no longer imagines himself in his human form. So in a way, Victor has accepted the way he is now. Number 19. In the final battle, when Superman arrives for the first time and says not impressed, it's actually taken directly from the comics. Number 20. After Bruce Wayne drives off with Barry, there's a billboard here that says, "You are not alone." This is a real-life foundation that works to prevent suicides. One of the focal elements in the Snyder Cut campaign was to donate to this charity. Number 21. In order to revive Superman, the League needed additional charge from Flash to generate power, and after Flash successfully transmits that power, he didn't have enough space to slow down, so he crashed into Superman's ship. Now a lot of people seem to think that Barry phased through the wall of Superman's ship, but here's the proof that he broke the wall and didn't phase through it. Number 22. At this point, you probably smiled a bit when Batman said this about Alfred.
Everyone, this is Alfred. I work for him.
So even though it's the other way around, but out of respect to Alfred, he said the opposite. We saw a similar sort of interaction in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy as well.
I suppose you're going to lock me up as well.
I'm going to tell them the whole thing was your idea.
Number 23. Batman was standing on his bat tank aka War Machine near the end of the film. This is straight from the Dark Knight Returns comics, but notice the mutant gang from the same comics can be seen tied up, so it's not any random thug. It's clearly another Easter egg. Number 24. In Barry Allen's intro scene, pay attention to the truck involved in the accident. It says Gardner Fox, which is a reference to DC Comics writer Gardner Fox, who co-created both The Flash and Justice League, as well as introduced the multiverse to DC. Number 25. In the scene where Bruce Wayne meets Barry Allen for the first time, in the background we can see some hand-drawn designs that Barry's been working on. You can see he tried to go for an emblem that is similar to Superman's symbol. And that's it. This would be my breakdown of Zack Snyder's Justice League at 0.25x speed. And I'll admit, it's 1,000 times better than what we've got back in 2017. But if you think about it, you can't really release a 4-hour film in theaters, at least not from the business perspective. So if someone comes up and trims a 4-hour cut into 2 hours, that film will surely struggle in theaters. So it's not entirely Joss Whedon's fault that the Justice League didn't work. I understand he added some elements that didn't make sense at all, but he was also left with no options but to cut important elements of the plot. I think all of the characters should have gotten their origin stories first, and then team up for a Justice League movie. You can't really put origin stories in a film that literally focuses on a different villain altogether. But nonetheless, we finally got the Snyder Cut, and I think it does justice to most of the characters, especially Victor and Barry's. Now if you like this video, then please give me a thumbs up and grab the subscribe button if you haven't already. Get my official merchandise from the CanadianLad.merchforall.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter to get updates about my videos. Till then, I'll see you lads in the next one.
Kalal, no!